Hi, welcome back to Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener. This is Debbie, and we are into our propagation area, which is basically my sunroom or the southern facing room where I do a lot of my growing for my seedlings and things like that. And then I also use it for propagation. There were some plants in the fall that I wanted to propagate, wanted to keep going through the winter. So I did go ahead and get some cuttings off of my orange mint, my chocolate mint, a couple of tomatoes, and some basil. And I wanted to show you that the propagation was a success. We have chocolate mint here. You can see all of those roots in there. You can even see the hair roots. Those typically get broken if you're pulling those out of the soil, the little hairline roots. But in here, they look absolutely fantastic. So we'll be getting those into some soil here pretty soon. We had a couple of leaves that died on them, but that's typical when you've got them down in the water like that. And we just used some clean, sterile glass bottles. And I believe these were some juice bottles, maybe from some juice that we had from some other countries. And here is our orange mint. I basically cut a couple of runners off of those. I did try to propagate some of the older, more mature stems on them, and they did not propagate. Only the runners are propagating. So you can see we got some nice roots down in there as well. And of course we have some leaves that do die off that are down in the water. And then I did propagate as well some Transcendence. And this one is a kind of a variegated striped variety. And I basically had 3 sets of offshoots from a main plant, and I did go ahead and get those propagated. We do have some tiny roots on this one, but they do take a long time to start propagation. So I'm not having any roots on the other 2, but only on this one. But these other 2 will catch up pretty soon. Just keep the water changed, clean, and it will do very well. I did have 6 tomato suckers from my Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes that I did go ahead and cut and tried to propagate. Only 2 of those were a success. I had a 3rd one that did root, but I was gone on a trip. Sorry about that. I had to pause the video for a second because my grandson was doing something he wasn't supposed to do. Anyway, I did get these propagated. There are 2 of them that are left out of these 6. 3, about half was pretty good percentage for propagating fall tomatoes. Like basically these were tomatoes that were planted back in the spring, and I wanted to just go ahead and keep some going, or try to keep some going until the next spring. And these 2 were a success. They did have roots, so we went ahead and got those into containers today. Now I will be transplanting these pretty soon. This is just to get the roots established, and then once the roots are established, then we'll go ahead and get those transplanted into some larger containers. And then these basil were a very pretty variety of basil that is variegated. I don't think it's dark opal. I think it's another variety. Could be cinnamon. I'm not really sure what the variety is, but I thought it was really pretty. I wanted to get it propagated, so I had 4 basically that rooted. So I put 2 in each container that I transplanted today, and just made sure the soil is really wet, because these basically came from inside of a container with just nothing but water, and they have roots on them. And then I just went ahead and transplanted these into these containers. There are 2 per container, and the soil is just as wet as it would be if they were in just water, because basil is sensitive root wise to being transplanted. So we've got those in here, and so far they've been in there for a little bit, and they're still looking quite perky, so that's good. So we've got those. And I do have some other propagations that I've got going on, not really vegetables or anything like that. I have some ivy over here that I'm propagating. You can see plenty of roots on those. Usually those are supposed to be very easy to propagate, but these 2 for some reason were pretty difficult to propagate. And then I have this plant here that I'm not even really sure of the name of. There's been a few people send me some tips on what the name of this is, but I'm not quite sure they're correct, because there's a lot of plants that do look like this, and I don't have a tag for it anymore, so I'm not really sure what variety it is. But I may go ahead and try to get this one propagated as well, because it does have lots of runners, and it's more kind of like a succulent variety, so that's going to be something interesting to propagate. And then I'm going to try to propagate as well a shingle plant. This one of mine is getting pretty bushy because it's got a lot of little offshoots, and these are supposed to remain flat and go up a shingle. That's why they're called the shingle plants. So I'm going to go ahead and try to cut some of those and get those propagated as well. And again, that's not a vegetable or anything. It's just something decorative to look at. But that's what I've got going on in my growing room right now, just basically to pass the time between gardening seasons. And we've got lots of other plants in here. I don't just grow just vegetables. I also have house plants as well, as you can see. And then we're going to get in here and do some cleaning because we've got some leaves from where I was propagating everything and some soil that has escaped, and get these window sills wiped down, cleaned up. I've already done quite a bit of organizing with some containers and have cleaned out and transplanted a lot of plants. So we've got all of that going on. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for notices on new videos as they come out, and we will see you in the next one.